Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last summer, the Prime Minister claimed he wanted to protect free speech and put a stop to no platforming. So how concerned was he by last week's campaign by Tory MPs to cancel a broadcaster?
Mr. Speaker, as I said at the time, the issues between Gary Lineker and the BBC were for them to resolve, and I'm very glad that they did, and we can look forward to watching Match of the Day again on our screens.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the sight of them howling with rage over a tweet, signing greening letters in their dozens, desperately trying to cancel a football highlight show, that should have been laughable. Instead, it led to a farcical weekend, with the national broadcast being accused of dancing to the government's tune by its own employees. Rather than blame everyone else, why doesn't he take some responsibility, stand up to his snowflake MPs waging war on free speech?
Mr. Speaker, just the usual political opportunism from the leader of the Labour Party. Because I don't know if he noticed. But actually, first the Shadow Attorney General and then the Shadow Home Secretary actually criticised the language that had been used in the tweet. But what a surprise. He saw the chance to jump on a political bandwagon and changed his mind.
Keir Starmer.
So, Mr. Speaker,
I'm not being funny. I think our constituents want to get to the budget. The more that you shout, the more you progress questions. So please, my constituents interested if yours are. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, they want more of a Prime Minister who doesn't understand. You can disagree with what somebody says, but still defend their right to say it. He doesn't understand that. We're in a real problem. Does he accept that people's concerns about the BBC have been made worse because the government chose to put a Tory donor with no broadcasting experience in charge of the BBC?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as he well knows, the BBC chairman was appointed before I became Prime Minister. He was appointed.
And the same applies to this side. This budget matters to the people of this country. They want to hear it. Don't keep questions going longer than need be. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there was a rigorous, independent and long-established process. That appointment was supported by expert panel members, as well as the cross-party DCMS Select Committee. Now, it's right. That process is being independently reviewed by the Office for Commissioner of Public Appointments, and we should allow that review to conclude.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, the problem is the chair of the BBC isn't just any old Tory donor. He's so close to the Prime Minister.
Order. Mr. Fabricant, I want you to be in for the budget. Cup of teas don't want to come that early.
Mr. Speaker, he's no ordinary Tory donor. He's so close to the Prime Minister, he's been described as his mentor. He helped arrange an £800,000 credit line for the former Prime Minister, a minor detail he forgot to tell the Select Committee which scrutinised his appointment. Does the Prime Minister think that his friend's position is still tenable?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I've just said, the Independent Office for Commissioner of Public Appointments is reviewing what was a rigorous, independent process to appoint the chairman. Instead of prejudging and preempting that review, we should let it conclude and wait for the outcome. That is the right way to do things, and that's what the government will do.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, when people with links to the Tory party somehow find themselves in senior positions at the BBC, it's important that their impartiality is seen to be beyond reproach. So has the Prime Minister received assurances that no one with links to the Tory party was lobbied by Tory MPs or involved in the decision that saw Match of the Day effectively cancelled?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, these are matters. These are matters for the BBC to resolve. And it's right. It's right that the BBC, as an important institution, takes its obligations to impartiality seriously. Right? I care about the integrity and impartiality of our institutions, the BBC, but also the civil service, Mr. Speaker. And it's right that those processes carry on properly. But what I would say to him on this matter, there is an independent review. It's right that that process concludes, and he would, I would hope, respect that process.
Starmer.
He comes here today with these mealy-mouthed platitudes, pretending the actions of his party are nothing to do with him. But the whole country saw how he kept quiet and hid behind the playground bullies while they tried to drive someone out simply for disagreeing with them. An impartial public broadcaster, free of government interference, is a crucial pillar in our country. But isn't that put at risk by the cancel culture addicts on his benches, the BBC leadership that caves into their demands, and a Prime Minister too weak to do anything about them?
Mr. Speaker, we're not going to take any lectures on cancel culture from the party opposite. But we know what this is about, and he's avoided it in 6 questions. They're actually the substance of the issue that this underlied this tweet. And that's what has he done in this past week. The only thing he and his party have done is voted against our bill to stop the boats, Mr. Speaker. Siding with people smugglers over the British people. That's the substance of what's happened. Instead, what have we done? Is conclude a new migration deal with France, Mr. Speaker. We've managed to sign a new defence partnership with our allies, the US and Australia. We've protected British start-ups and we have boosted defence spending. And that, Mr. Speaker, is what delivering for Britain looks like.